As we go through life and we lose the ones that we love, there's lots of feelings that we have. Feelings of anger, feelings of sadness. Sometimes there's a feeling of joy, just happiness for the person that they can finally rest in peace. Jerome Paul Zank, or to me, Uncle Jerry, passed away this last summer, and he was a man of very few words. But he didn't need very many words for you to know that when you were talking with him, he genuinely cared about what you had to say. From the twinkle in his eye to that contagious smile that he always had on his face. Today I'll talk to you a little bit about how Uncle Jerry had an extreme love for his family, he had amazing talents, and he had incredible strength fighting through illness and disease. Growing up, we always heard the stories of our aunts and uncles and how they grew up playing games like cops and robbers, and my uncle would be stuck on a pool table and would try to jump off and split open his face. Or my mom and my other uncle were arguing over who was going to get to ride the bike home, and my uncle got on the bike and took off, and my mom got angry and she picked up a stick to throw it at him, and the stick went into the bicycle spokes and he ended up flying over his bike. and even though these stories all sounded like they ended badly, my aunts and uncles always maintained an incredible bond of love and friendship. My Uncle Jerry and my Uncle Wayne were basically like best friends growing up, and they were roommates when they first moved out of the house, and they ended up being colleagues for a while too even. And every year as we got older, Thanksgiving and Christmas, we'd always try to get together, and it was really hard because there was a big family. There were 7 siblings there. They all had their kids, but we'd always get together at least for one of them. My Uncle Jerry would always be there sitting in the corner, just a big smile on his face, just happy to be there with everybody. Now that you understand a little bit more about his love for his family, let's talk about some of his amazing talents. Uncle Jerry had an amazing creative mind. When he was very young, he decided he was going to build a canoe, and my grandpa brought home some supplies for him to try to do it, and he did it. He built a canoe, and it worked really well. It was a little heavy. He decided the next one he'd make would be out of something lighter, but it worked really well. And every year, another actually example of the family bond that they had, every year they would build a ice skating rink out in the backyard where the garden was. And my Uncle Jerry's contribution to making this ice skating rink was he would put up lights outside so that they'd be able to see, because it'd be pretty dark by the time they'd get out there after school and everything. As he got older, he got even better with electronics, and he ended up rigging up speakers going around the outside too that were hooked up to their inside stereo, so then they could have music while they were out there too. Going off of that, as he got older, he would go to the drive-in movie theater. And you go to a drive-in movie theater back then, you'd pull up to these little speakers, you'd plug your car into it, and that's how you got the sound of the movie. Well, during the commercials, my uncle rigged it up so that he would plug his stereo into that same speaker box, and he hijacked the sound system for the entire movie theater, and he played his radio through that. And everyone was super grateful because they had something to listen to other than just these commercials. He wasn't just really intelligent, though. He was also extremely athletic. I never got to meet him when he was, but when he was younger, he was really good at basketball, and he was in varsity for the cross-country team. He was really good at all of it. Now that you understand a little bit more about his amazing talents, let's talk about his amazing strength as he fought through illness and disease. My Uncle Jerry was 29. He became sick with strep throat, and he didn't get it treated, and it ended up developing into kidney disease. My whole life he was on dialysis, which isn't very painful, but it makes you feel very nauseous, and it was something that he dealt with for 20 plus years. As he got older, they ended up developing the ability to have kidney transplants, and he had his first one and it didn't take. The second one did, though, and he ended up with the rest of his life not having to do dialysis anymore, but he still had some of those pains and everything. When he retired just this last year, he ended up getting sick again, and he went to the hospital, and they diagnosed him with kidney cancer. And it was kind of like his body had just decided that he had fought long enough through the kidney disease, and he just needed to rest. And so this last July, he ended up passing away from the cancer because it spread so fast. But through all of it, though, he never complained. You never once heard him complain, and that's what everybody always said. On my way to the funeral this last summer, I called my dad and I was talking to him, and he hadn't seen my Uncle Jerry in like 30 years, and I told him about this, how I was going there, and the first things out of his mouth was how great of a guy Uncle Jerry was, and how he never heard him complain about the kidney disease that he had to fight through. And it's just the common theme that you always heard about him. Now that you understand a little more of his love for his family, his amazing talents, and his incredible strength to fight through disease, I hope you understand how great of a person my Uncle Jerry was. It was really cruel and hard to lose him after he'd just recently retired and was ready to live the rest of his life. But most of us were just happy for the time that we had with him. Like I said in the beginning, there's many feelings of sadness and anger when you lose somebody that you care about like that. But for us, there's just a feeling of joy that we got to spend as much time as we did with him, and that he fought for as long as he had. And there was a sense of joy, just that we could be grateful that he could finally rest in peace. Thank you.